Situated on the northeastern edge of the city, near what at the time was the ancient trade route from Tibet to Nepal, the area of Boda is the Tibetan quarter of Kathmandu. Tens of thousands of Tibetans have settled here after the Chinese occupation of Tibet, and the last few decades have witnessed the construction of some 50 Buddhist monasteries. At the center of Boda stands the world-famous stupa, one of the most important monuments in the valley. The stupa is a symbol of the presence of the Buddha in the world of form, and its different elements symbolize the ascent of the practitioner into the condition of awakening. The present structure dates from the 15th or 16th century, though earlier sources attest the presence of the stupa on this site as early as the 6th century of our era. The influx of Tibetan refugees in the latter part of the 20th century is thus only the latest chapter in the century-long history of this monument and of this area.
Every day we had classes in the Center of Buddhist Studies given by Thomas Katoy, our professor from JST, as well as with Joanne Larson and a Buddhist monk. Our main study was taken from the Buddhist text, The Way of the Bodhisattva by Shantideva. Our classes were enriched by the presence of students from the Buddhist school who engaged in questions and discussion on the points of contact and differences in the two traditions.
Thank you so much.
On behalf of all the students and faculty at
Thank you so much.
Thanks very much.
Tibetan teachers are so good at puncturing your ego. I mean, that's one of their jobs, is to help you stop your ego clinging. So you can always count on your Tibetan teacher to push those little buttons that, you think you handled that one, and you really haven't. so.
Moa Sangi from Sweden and Annie Sangi from the US are two Buddhist nuns who are studying at the Center of Buddhist Studies in Kathmandu. There were also two Catholic nuns in our group, so the conversation that we had over lunch about being a nun and the reasons why each of the four nuns became a nun was a wonderful experience of interreligious dialogue.
While the focus of our theological immersion was Tibetan Buddhism, it is important to remember that Nepal is primarily a Hindu country, and that Nepal was actually a Hindu monarchy until June 2008. Hindu temples are scattered throughout the valley and the country, and they continue to serve as centers for the devotional life of the people. The most important center of Hindu worship in Kathmandu is the temple of Pashupatinath, where the faithful come to venerate Shiva under the form of a stone lingam. People nearing death are sometimes still taken to die at the edge of the Bagmati river that flows through the complex, as this is considered auspicious, and the ashes of cremated bodies are then scattered in the river. Another important temple is Gokarna Mahadeva, where one can see the images of a variety of gods, such as Hanuman, Krishna playing the flute in the company of Radha, as well as the imprints of the feet of Vishnu. Daily Mass is an opportunity to pause and reflect. Listening to the Word of God and participating in the Eucharist, we are reminded of our identity as Christians, and we are confronted with the particular claims of the Christian faith. As we immerse ourselves in another religious tradition, we become more aware of the points of contact across them, as well as of the differences and particularities between their understanding of the world and of the human condition.
In recent years, in my time in Nepal, a lot of my work has tended toward interreligious dialogue. I'm not a theologian beyond the ordinary training of a Jesuit, but I've always maintained a strong interest in theology. And comparative theology, interreligious learning has been a big concern during this past decade or so.
Ring is a small town to the south of Kathmandu, which is renowned because of its association with Padmasambhava, the so-called second Buddha who took Buddhism to Tibet in the 8th century. Padmasambhava is said to have spent many years in meditation in the so-called Asura cave, which is an important center of pilgrimage for Tibetans as well as Nepali Buddhists. In the 1980s, a monastery was built around the cave, which continues to serve as the chief retreat house for the Center of Buddhist Studies in Kathmandu, our academic host in Nepal. Tharping Monastery is at the top of a steep flight of stairs, and if the air is clear, from its terraces one can enjoy a beautiful view of the Kathmandu Valley.
In our 5-day Buddhist retreats, we spent 7.5 hours each day learning different Buddhist meditations: shamatha, walking meditation, and tonglen, which is a meditation on loving kindness.
Okay, so we are going to meet Chökyi Nyima Rinpoche, who is the abbot of this monastery. He comes from a Nyingma family. His father was the founder of this monastery. His brother is the tantric master, and the father, who passed away in the late 90s, was recognized as having been reincarnated in a boy who is now about 11 years old. The Raksha Turtran ritual takes place once a year in midwinter, and it symbolizes the defeat of evil thoughts by the power of the Buddha's teaching. According to legend, Raksha Turtran was a demon who had been defeated by Padmasambhava, and Padmasambhava took over his form so as to frighten all the enemies of the Dharma. The haystack, which is full of firecrackers, symbolizes our evil thoughts. As the image of the deity is thrown into it, the firecrackers explode, symbolizing the power of Buddhist practice over our negative karma and inclinations.
In the Lord I'll be ever thankful. In the Lord I will rejoice. Look to God, do not be afraid. Lift up your voices, the Lord is near. Lift up your voices, the Lord is near.